Alright, quick video for today, quick updates on the car. It's currently May 2nd and I think it's like week 6, 7 of quarantine. And I guess it's done the car good because I've actually had way more time than expected to work on this thing. So if you haven't seen the new Canards, there they are. Simple, I used business cards to make these things. Funny, right? Now, it is tricky to get these corners properly measured right there. See where the canards kind of hug against the lip. So I basically used a bunch of old business cards, or you could use index cards too, and you just basically tape it in like layers so you can get that contour, or you could buy a really long contour gauge and you know, do it that way. But looks pretty good. If you look over the canard, it's basically the same shape as the front splitter. Not bad, huh? I wanted to do it that way because it's a lot cleaner looking, and the wrap is also the same. It's the same gray, just depends on the lighting, and if the lighting's just right, they're about the same. If the lighting's different, sometimes they look darker or lighter. And down here, I'll show you the bracketry. Pretty simple. I could have painted these or had them powder coated like I did with the rear brackets for the diffuser, but I think it looks decent like this. I gave it a brushed finish. If you look closely right there, it's brushed finish over here as well. So I think I'm gonna leave it that way. It doesn't look bad at all. I like it. A lot of companies like Voltex and gosh, I'm not sure who else makes Canards, but they have brackets like these, or you could build it into the canard itself. So you could cut the shape onto the material and then bend it. But this material is actually not as bendy as you think. You can make large radius bends like this for the canard, but once you do like a 90, it'll snap and break. So that wasn't really an option. And if you're doing this at home, this is the only option that you can do. The brackets aren't exactly 90. Some of them are less than 90. Some of them are more. I had to open them up using a vise. But it looks pretty good. Not too bad. Now I did delete the side fin idea. I had these side fins on top of here, but I thought it's a lot cleaner that way. And since the last time you guys seen the car, I added this. Looks pretty good. The bracketry is the same in the back. See that? It's basically these 90-degree angles from Home Depot. And if you guys aren't sure what that is, it looks like, oh, it's up here. Looks like this. So you can buy them in lengths of 2 feet. So 2, 4, 6, 8 foot. You can get them, and I basically cut them 1.5 inches at a time, and I make the brackets. Now, the best way to make the brackets is by using a jigsaw, or if you have a miter saw will cut it good, like really good, but be careful because you might jack up your finger like I did that one time. But see that? Just make sure you round out the corners so it looks clean, and then just bust the hole through the center. And over here in the corner, this bracket, I trimmed it to match the lip itself. So super clean. Those are M5 1.0 bolts. Those are buttons. And down here, if you look closely, I actually use cap bolts. See that? For those guys. And under there, they're just nuts. These are locking. They're serrated. And down there, I didn't really bother about wrapping the bottom because, I mean, you're not gonna be able to see it. Plus, if it does scrape, I can just sand it down to fix it. Another addition I did is this guy. So my little side strake, I added a little strake on the side here where the side skirts go. I've always kind of had this idea for it. If you look over here on my Caymans, same. It's a little bit more elaborate on the Cayman, to be honest. See that? I even have this little canard right here that kind of diverts air up over the tire. But on this car, I think I'm done. I'm done with the Aero setup for the side skirt. Very, very simple, as you can see right here. It's just a side strake, a regular side strake. And down here, I also use the same bracketry, as you can see. And on the corners, they're actually, let me see if I can get in there. There you go. See, they're rounded as well, and I'm using caps and buttons on the outside. So as long as you do it cleanly, I don't think anything is really wrong. It's all about your own style, and if you know a little bit about aerodynamics, then I guess you can base it out of that. But I'm not an expert on these things. I read papers and look at other builds and other builders who I'm really like a big fan of, like the owner of Voltex. We've talked before. He speaks Japanese, I don't, so we had a little translator, but I kind of picked his brain on how to do aero, and I'm just copying his style, not like to the T, but kind of copying his methods. Now right here, this is slightly higher than say over here, so this goes up to about 3.5 inch, and it tapers up into, I think this is 5 inch on this side. And the door actually opens just fine. People are wondering, will the door open? Yeah, it's plenty of space. The only hard part is if you do open the door, make sure you don't kick that on the way out. I have, this is kind of funny, but I am so anal with everything that I put bed sheets so I don't dirty my black cloth velour seats for my Recaro Pro Racer Hans. Yeah, I know. And since the last time you guys checked up the car, there's no tranny. I dropped the tranny because I'm doing the clutch and the new flywheel right now. So, and I'm also dropping an NB tranny, which is, where is he at? Over there. See with a white bag, that's the shifter. So that guy's going in. There's no tranny under the car right now, so this thing actually doesn't run. Again, what's new, right? So be careful when you do your side skirts, because if you get out and kick this, you're not gonna have a good day. This is using a 3mm ACM, alum panel, alu poly, whatever. You can use Alumilite too, but it's 3mm, and you can see it right here. It's not as thick as the Cayman. The Cayman's using a quarter inch, Jesus Christ. And a quarter inch is alright. It's a little bit heavier and bulkier, not necessary. So I learned everything from this car, applied it to this car, and it looks good. Oh, as you can see, check this out. You see the bolts I'm using? These are M5 buttons. And over here, I used M6 buttons with washers. I kind of regret doing this for the Cayman because it looks a bit busy, huh? You see that? Kind of looks like an aircraft carrier, like a bunch of rivets. So if I had a chance to redo this, I would have taken the M6 out and used M5s, because M5s are so much cleaner. Look at that. Look how much smaller they are. And to be honest, you don't need that many bolts to hold these things down. Like these bolts are actually closer to each other than say this guy. These are like every 14 inches, so don't worry, don't go crazy with bolts. Every 14 inches is actually fine. I've overdone it with a Cayman, but I've learned to not do that. All right, let's check out the back. I'm gonna open the garage here real quick. All right, so now with the garage door open, you can see the back. It looks pretty damn good. Now, I had some friends come over and they actually looked at the diffuser and said, hey, that diffuser actually doesn't look that big in real life. It's because I'm using a 16mm lens, so it makes everything kind of fatter, wider. It is a big diffuser, but it's not as big as you think. Look at that. That looks so big. Give it a try. Take your iPhone, go outside, take a low shot of your car, and you'll see that it kind of exaggerates everything. Looks so good, dude. So good. Got my new California plates. Oh, why are you hunting? Too bright, maybe? Yeah, I guess. My Hydron taillights. Without it being on, it looks pretty good, huh? Just white. And you can see more details. Go punch in closer here. That same gray is the same gray as the panel right here. So the panel is actually two-tone, and Felix painted this. And look how he lined this up. So clean, right? The guy's a freaking machine. So there you go. That gray metallic is the same gray metallic as the wrap. And remember I told you that different lighting kind of turns this wrap into a different hue. Now it kind of looks like super dark gray. But if you go over here, it looks super light. See that? So it really depends on the angle that you shoot this car. And these are the brackets I was talking about. See how those are powder coated dark gray? But the inside right here is that brushed aluminum. So I think if I left these brackets over here brushed aluminum, it'd look too busy. That's why I didn't do it that way. But for these guys, it's actually fine to leave it like this because I have a bunch of silver trimming on the car that kind of matches with this. So like this guy right here for my splitter rod, and that rod itself is gray, but this piece right here is silver, bolts are silver, right? And then these chrome pieces. So it's all about balancing out the car's look. You don't want to just overdo it with one color, one type of setup. And that's it, guys. Nothing new, or nothing new. Those are the new things, and happy quarantine week 7.